From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Louie B.
This is Ticats Today for a Wednesday, September the 29th, 2021. Hopefully having a great week so far. Just a few more days until the Ticats return to Tim Hortons Field. That'll be Saturday, 4 o'clock kickoffs. Limited tickets on sale as the capacity limit has been lifted just a little bit. 18,000 now allowed here at Tim Hortons Field, so there are select tickets available for Saturday's game. So if you want to come down and join us, just head to ticats.ca. Of course, you can listen to me, Louie B, and Andy Fantuz get you set for that game starting at 3 o'clock on the Ticats Audio Network. We'll be on the air with Ticats pregame, presented by Active Green and Ross. And then we'll hand it off to RJ Broadhead and Mike Morielli, who will have the call again between the Ticats and the Montreal Alouettes. Big game last night in the CFL, especially for the Alouettes, as it was the Ottawa Redblacks coming up with a 34-24 win for their second win of the season. And with that, the Ottawa Redblacks moved to 2-5. The Montreal Alouettes enter Saturday's game at 2-4. So, as big as the next game is for the Ticats, it's almost very big for the Alouettes, who are now looking up at the Toronto Argonauts and Hamilton Tiger-Cats sitting at 4-3, and down at the Ottawa Redblacks, who are sitting at 2-5. So interesting start to week number 9. Not sure many people predicted that one, but lots coming up here on Ticats Day that we'll get into that. We'll be joined by Steve Milton from the Hamilton Spectator. I'll get his thoughts on the Ticats as they get set for week 9. We'll hear from Coach O, as we normally do, and we'll hear from Simoni Lawrence, and we'll hear from Cam Kelly as well. So a couple of linebackers for the Ticats that we'll get to on today's show. Speaking of Simoni Lawrence, he has been named a CFL top performer for the month of September. The players chosen by a panel of judges made up by former players Matt Dunnigan and Dwayne Ford of TSN, as well as Pierre Vercheval of RDS. They picked the top performers, and Simoni Lawrence was one of them. Simoni Lawrence had number 21, had 24 tackles, 1 sack, 2 knockdowns, 2 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns as the Ticats went 3-1 in September. So a good job for Simoni Lawrence being named a top performer. Lucky Whitehead of the BC Lions and Michael Riley, also of the BC Lions, also named top performers for the month of September. The Ticats released their injury report from yesterday, and I just want to run down a couple of names here. Braylon Addison was limited. Brandon Banks was limited as well. We did see, if you did notice this, Frankie Williams was listed as did not participate yesterday. I will give you an update that he was back at practice today. Coach said it was a maintenance day for Frankie Williams. So if you saw that on the injury report yesterday and you were like, uh-oh, what does this mean? That he did not practice. He was back at practice today. We'll get a full update on that one on today's injury report. But Ted Laurent was limited. Masoli was limited. Chris Van Zyl was limited. That's pretty encouraging news considering he's on the 6-game injured list. So Chris Van Zyl working his way back into the lineup. And Devere Posey did not practice. He was moved from the 6-game injured list to the 1-game injured list last week. He's dealing with an illness as per the Ticats injury report. So that's over at CFL.ca. You can check it out and see all the names of the Ticats who are dealing with some issues. But again, we'll continue to watch, and we'll see what the lineup says on Saturday when the Ticats get set to take on the Alouettes. All right, as we do every day here on Ticats Today, let's hear from the head coach of the Ticats. That is Orlondo Steinauer. Here's what he had to say after practice.
We just really, to be honest with you, Louie, we're just day to day. Like, obviously, we know that people are getting close to getting healthy, but we're really focused on the players that are out there practicing on the, like today, here on day 2. That's where our focus is. And as they get healthy, and then we address it a little bit different. But, our mindset is the players that we're anticipating playing, we're just preparing them the best we can. Well, success is a word that I don't use a lot because I'm not really even sure what that means in context of that. But you measure it by it's individual based, obviously, and then it's also based off of maybe your position group. Maybe it's based off of the whole offense, defense, or the phase. And then, obviously the biggest measure is collective. So there's lots of small wins to be had every day. So it's not just always the big, huge picture, right? For example, the offense may have a great practice. The defense may have an average practice. But if I bring everybody up and say, great practice, everybody, well, that's really not a true statement, right? So we just emphasize getting better each day in each phase, and then each person be able to look themselves in the mirror and understand what they're working on that day and encourage them to get better. And let's go. Let's keep going. Okay. I'm ready for 24. I'm ready for the full capacity. But hey, from where it was in the beginning, Steve, to where we're at now, it's exciting. And it's not just the players, right? That means that that's 3,000 more people driving or walking to the stadium or riding to the stadium that we can provide entertainment for, and that obviously they can cheer for us. So I'm excited for ourselves. I'm excited for the organization, and then obviously the city and those that want to attend. Tickets are a little bit easier to come by that way.
That is the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Orlondo Steinauer, as he spoke after practice today. And he mentioned it, there are single game tickets available now with capacity limits raised from 15 to 18,000. You can head over to ticats.ca and get yourself some tickets so you can join us here at Tim Hortons Field on Saturday. It is a 4 p.m. kickoff. And some great seats still available, so ticats.ca for more on that one. All right, we mentioned this a little bit earlier. Simoni Lawrence named a CFL top performer for the month of September, and we had a chance to catch up with Simoni, and I wanted to ask him off the top. Here he is. He's 32. He's been in the league for a while. What do these individual honors mean to him? Are they something that he still has to take pause and acknowledge as a big deal for him?
Yeah, we play the game to be the best. When we're training in the offseason, we're training to be the best that we can be for our team. And, every year, that's the goal, to be the best teammate and the best player that you can possibly be. 100%. It's all about my teammates. Without them, there's no me. So I'm very aware that I play around a bunch of great players. And, I know that I'm a great player as well, and I needed to step up during this stretch as well. So I'm happy that I was able to contribute to my team. Honestly, I have a great linebacker coach, Coach Ross, who doesn't let me slip or do anything. He doesn't let me take any easy way out. So my accountability partner in Coach Ross is very high. So he helps me out during the week and makes sure I'm on top of things. So I give all the credit to Coach Ross. I got to call my finance guy. I'm not good with math, but whatever double 3,000 is, it's going to sound 3,000 sound like what, 10 grand? So we're good. It's going to be live in Hamilton. And it's on Saturday. So all the fans get the pregame until 4:00. And I expect them to be very rowdy and nasty. I'm a big rep guy, practice guy. So I feel like when we're on Tim Hortons Field, there's nothing wrong that can happen. Even if we're down and stuff, I always feel like we're just gonna win on Tim Hortons Field. And it's your home. You protect your house. You're comfortable in your house. You know what to expect in your house, and it's just it's a confidence thing as well. I know when somebody comes and they got to run a route, I know that I feel like I'm gonna lock them down no matter what. I feel like if they're running the ball, I'm gonna make the tackle no matter what. And the fans, you got the fans watching too, and it's your fans. You don't want to look corny in front of your fans.
That is one of the CFL's top performers for the month of September. Simoni Lawrence had himself a great month. The team, of course, went 3-1. He put up 24 tackles, 1 sack, 2 knockdowns, 2 picks. Both of them he returned for touchdowns in the 4 games over the month of September. He's currently ranked among CFL leaders. He is first in touchdowns by a defensive player, tied for third in interceptions, and fourth in defensive tackles. And his 586 career defensive tackles is 21st all-time in CFL history. He's just 2 back of Dante Marsh for 20th all-time in CFL history. So Simoni Lawrence, definitely something I've mentioned before I would say is a sure first ballot Hall of Famer. And there's no doubt in my mind that Lawrence will one day hang somewhere here at Tim Hortons Field. He has meant that much to this franchise in his time here. Someone who's got a front row seat to the way Simoni performs, the way he practices, the way he plays, is Cam Kelly. One of his fellow linebackers, new to the Ticats this season, but him and Jovan Santos Knox and Simoni have really found some instant chemistry. We had a chance to catch up with Cam Kelly after practice today. Here's what he had to say.
It's great to have teammates like that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But, so having Simoni as a teammate has made me, a much better player. Just seeing how he goes 110%, no matter the play, the ball's across the field, he's sprinting, and just the way he prepares. We have off days and, sometimes you look on Instagram and Simoni's up here at 7 a.m. on a Saturday or a Sunday or something. So just the dedication and, we talk a lot about the mama mentality. Kobe was, I feel like, a lot of people's favorite player growing up. And I feel like Sim has really embodied that mentality and just it spills out into the team. I think it's just the communication aspect of it. And, the way Coach O rounds up his troops, he gets us all on the same page. There's no gray area or question marks on what the expectations are. And, we communicate and make sure that we just make it important. If you make anything important to you, then you'll spend your time on it, do your due diligence. And, we all do that. And we all just make sure we're on the same page as much as possible. It's professional. It's as professional gets, I feel like. We take the time to do, we leave no stone unturned. We take every step to prepare. As far as the room, honestly, I can say this is probably the most fun I've had playing football in a long, long time, So from that aspect, it just makes it easy to come into work every day. But, it's not, we don't come in here and play. We come in here and definitely get our work done.
That is Cameron Kelly as he spoke after practice today. Always nice to catch up with him. And, that's some high praise. Guy who's been around the league. Been around football, was in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers. For him to say this is the most fun he's had playing professional football in some time. Obviously, some high praise for what's going on here in Hamilton. All right, time to get to my conversation with the Hamilton Spectator's Steve Milton. And my friend Milty was a little bit busy today, so you may notice in the here that I acknowledge a couple of times that practice hasn't happened. That's because we caught up a little bit earlier. So just letting you know, just full transparency here on Ticats Today. But here's my conversation with Steve Milton, and we started off by just kind of talking about at the halfway point, 4-3, the Ticats will take where they are right now.
I think so, particularly given the last two games. I mean, you could have looked at the schedule and the opponents and said, well, okay, they're going to win those, but with your third quarterbacks don't win on either side of the border in professional football. At least that's the record. I don't have the statistics, but I know it's really, really, really low. And to come out of that with 2 wins, I think they got to be very, very happy with that. Now, it all depends on what they do with that. That gets them to where they should be. And what do you do with the second half of the season?
We're waiting for them to come out here today, but we saw Jeremiah Masoli take the majority of snaps day one. You have to consider the fact that he hasn't played in 4, 5, 6 weeks at this point. He looked good out there. I mean, we don't know. We won't know, but things are pointing in the right direction for Masoli, and that's good news for this team.
Well, on the first day, he looked really good. And as you say, we hadn't seen him on the day that we're talking. But I really was quite impressed. I was quite impressed with his directionality, if there's such a word, and also with the tightness of the spirals and the aim. And he was throwing to a few players, so maybe 2 of them that may or may not play on the weekend, the 2 whites, and he was even finding them, and he was airing it out. I mean, they were deliberately airing him out to see how he felt the next day. Airing it out not just deep, but wide as well. And the same thing with Addison and Banks. They both had to air it out, in their case with their legs, to see what kind of recovery they could have from it. Where are they with that part of their recovery?
And especially with Jeremiah and it looks like Brandon, it appears to be like midsection injuries, and that really is something that's tough to evaluate in practice because nobody's really hitting you there. It's hard to get up. It's a hard thing to read in practice, though.
Well, Orlondo Steinauer mentioned that. He said, you're never really going to know. That's why when people say, well, why didn't you wait? Well, that's the part that's really going to show things. So why not see how that goes? And you've got a lot of time after the this game too. There's a lot of time between all the games now. I think their shortest rest is the normal 6 days, isn't it? I don't believe they have any of these treacherous things that they had to go through for 4 games in 17 days. Nothing like that left. So I think they've got to test that part of it out. Yeah, you don't really know because those were clearly contact injuries, and it wasn't like non-contact injuries.
Yeah. Taking a look at the Montreal game, the things that have worked for the Ticats might not necessarily work in this one. I mean, they'll need to be good defensively, but I mean, we've seen Vernon Adams Jr. they'll need to score more points is what I'm trying to say.
That's what I mean, we've been writing that in the spec, and I think everybody knows that. Or suspects that. I mean, the defense has been tremendous, but it doesn't take Montreal long to. You can play some 58 great minutes, and Montreal has been able to score in some bursts in a couple of minutes, and things can happen, and every team's susceptible to big plays. Ticats are playing it really tight in the secondary. My guess is they might change that a little bit against Adams to stop. Just see where the rush is going and this kind of thing. They don't rush all the time. They don't rush hard all the time, but they rush enough that their secondary can do what they do best, which is beat ball hawks. I mean, there's some ball hawks back there. Roll's a ball hawk, and Chauncey Evans was brought in specifically because he's a ball hawk. In other words, make plays, take the ball away. So that involves tight coverage. That can leave you open to the one big play. So to answer your question and come back to it, yes, I think they probably have to score more. And the idea is to get up early so that you can play the ball control game that you have now developed a little bit. Part of that ball control game, though, is based on Watford's special skills that he has. And do you want to expose a quarterback who hasn't played that much, who has sore ribs, to the same kind of thing, which involved an awful lot of running, some of it tough running.
Yeah. I think there's maybe a little more trust in the offensive line. I mean, because of what they've done the last few games, you have to think there's more consistency, and maybe another reason why Jeremiah's kind of getting another shot to go back there.
Well, I think it's one of the reasons. Yeah, yes. B, it's one of the reasons they kept the line together as much as they have. You can't just keep changing players in there. They had to try something, but they've also helped them out a little bit. They did that wide run, and some of those were really, some of the passes were long handoffs, throw wide, those kinds of things. Get your playmakers a little wide outside. You, the quarterback, you kind of maybe run to the outside, and then come back up the middle when the line has had a little bit of help with the idea of firing off. They've run the ball 59. I haven't done the stats yet, but I don't remember. Certainly, all last year they didn't do 30. They did 25 4 times. And 27 once by last year, I mean 2019. Yeah. So back-to-back, they have not done 59 since I don't know when. I don't expect 30 runs in this game because I think Jeremiah's skill is that he can find people. He can buy himself a little time, get out of the sacks, and then throw.
I was looking up the exact same thing when they ran 30. I was like, okay, they didn't do it last year. No. And then I was talking to Dwayne Ford, and he's like, you might have to go back to back in the day, when they did run the ball, C.J. Gable days, maybe, to find 30 rushes a game.
Yeah, and the quarterback generally wasn't running as much in those days too, right? So if you remember, a lot of those runs came off the quarterback spot. Yeah. Not half, but certainly 9 of them, I think, or 10 of them.
And the offensive line, I mean, they do love that. I mean, they do love the ball. I get the sense that that's their bread and butter, right? Having to scramble, having to, avoid these holding calls when the quarterback's scrambling. They just love pushing the ball forward. We've heard Darius mention this, Sirocco, of course.
All linemen do, and they like to pass block it as well because there's a challenge to that. Mm-hmm. But one involves much more technique. Pass blocking is a real technique type thing, and it's a real. All line play is like synchronized figure skating. You watch them right there. It looks if you could put music to it.
Even in practice, you see the guys who do drills and they go tough, right? It's a lot of hand drills. It's a lot of.
But there's a lot of synchronization. There's a lot of making sure you, especially on pass blocking. When I watched one of the new Americans have trouble with it, working with Chris Van Zyl for about 20 minutes. I think he came down at the end there at last week, and it's so different when you have that line of the yard line, and it's a little wider than get outside you if you're tackle a little bit too. So you have to have your weight. It sounds technical, but your weight over your feet. You can't take big steps because as soon as you big steps, there's a split second that you're off balance. That's when good defensive ends, and there's an awful lot of them in this league, get by you.
Tomorrow is obviously a big day. It's the first National Truth and Reconciliation Day.
Yeah.
The organization here, we're having a meeting today, and we're using this day to learn, and the league's kind of doing the same thing. There's still a lot of work to be done, but it feels like we're taking these kind of little steps right now for some bigger change.
We better.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that. And I think we all were stunned. We all knew. I've spent an awful lot of time around Six Nations over the last 40 years, and not so much in the last couple of years. But I'd been told stories of residential schools, but had no idea that it was that bad. And to get all of those horrible statistics released all at once, I don't know about you, but I kind of, for 2 or 3 days, I didn't know who to call or what to do. I was stunned. Yeah. I was a bit shocked how much it affected me, and so we better do something about this. We have the TRC right in front of us. It's been there since, 2014 or something. We've instituted quite a few things in sports. Pan Am Games, which were here. Mm-hmm. The soccer, there was an awful lot to do with the Mississaugas and the New Credit were basically the host nation during that, but also Six Nations and the Haudenosaunee nation was involved in that, and I'm really, the observances that happen every meeting now, I really like that, and that's been going on for some time. But you have to take it further than that. Ticats have been, I would think, fairly proactive over the years. They've had an awful lot of programs, not an awful lot, probably not enough, but more than anybody that I know, involving particularly Six Nations. Mm-hmm. And interactive programs, and I'm assuming that those continue. They've got players with personal interests and always have in that, and consciousness raising, we're past that point. Yeah. It's action now. That is what the Truth and Reconciliation was. It was a call to action. There are 95. Yeah. They're not recommendations. No. They're calls to action. Okay, on emphasis on those two words, calls and action. So yes, whatever you can do within the sphere of the world that you live in, you must do.
And this area has such a rich history already. You mentioned Six Nations; it's right down the road. Right. I mean,
and also the Mississauga and the New Credit as well, which is not as many people know about that. But it is just south of. In fact, it was carved out of original Six Nations land. Six Nations land was originally carved out of Mississauga. Of the New Credit. Yeah. They weren't called that at the time. I think they were just the Mississaugas at that point in English. And so there's a rich history there, and it's a tremendous history if you ever sit down with people. I don't know 2% of it, and I'm fascinated with what I do know.
Always great to connect, Milton. Thanks.
Okay.
That is Steve Milton from the Hamilton Spectator. Always love catching up with Steve Milton. Always love getting his perspective, and nice little talk there on the Truth and Reconciliation Day. That is tomorrow, and lots going on here, especially on this program. I'm very fortunate to have a one-on-one with Dane Evans, and Dane has been doing this on Instagram, where every time he plays in a city, or the team plays in a city, he goes in and kind of makes a land acknowledgement. And it's a pretty interesting thing that he started doing this year, and had a chance to catch up with him. So our chat tomorrow on the show on Truth and Reconciliation Day. So make sure to join us on Ticats Today. Make sure to subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network so you never miss an episode of this show or any of the other great offerings we have for you, including a brand new episode of Morielli and Hitch. I joked with Hitch. It's already the #1 program on the Ticats Audio Network. I'm coming for him, though. Another great episode dropped, so go check it out wherever you get this one. Thanks for joining us today. Make sure to join us tomorrow, same place, same time, here on the Ticats Audio Network. I'm Louie B. Hoping you have a great day.